Chet is composed of the Zion yoked to the Vav. So what is something that the world has to lay a hold of? What is something that they have to grasp, take a hold of, seize? They have to take a hold of this instruction that sets them apart to Elohim, and they have to be able to yoke themselves to the word of Elohim to receive the protection, the nourishment, and the rest that comes from Elohim. This is offered to the entire world. So, let me see, I've gotten way ahead of myself here. Okay. The world must take a hold of and seize the instruction of Yahweh Elohim that sets them apart to him, being yoked to his word, and thus receive from Yahweh Elohim the meaning of the letter Zion, his protection, nourishment, and rest. The prophet Joel says, Peter echoes it, Paul echoes it. He says that those who call on the name of Yahuwah will be delivered. They'll be restored. They will be redeemed. Those who call on the name of Yahuwah. Okay? If we call on the name of Yeshua, what are we saying? Yahuwah, in your name, deliver me from what I'm in. Redeem me. Restore me. Okay? We consider what John said at John 1:12. He says, but as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to be called the children of Elohim, even to those who believe on his name. In believing and receiving, we receive the authority to be called the children of Elohim. In other words, by the authority of Yahweh, we are established and restored by the mighty judge who has the authority to bring us redemption and rest at every time, in everything. This is Yeshua. And what it is to believe and receive, or this is Yeshua, and this is what it is to receive Yeshua. To this point, when we talk about Yeshua, what do we think about? We think about the man Yeshua. We don't relate it to the very concept of Yeshua. Mm-hmm. Yeshua is with us always. He will never leave us or forsake us. That the redemption, the restoration, the deliverance of Yahweh Elohim is always available to us if we will simply come to Yahweh in the name of Yeshua and be restored, be redeemed, be delivered, not just from the wage of sin, which is death, but be delivered from each and every single situation that has got us trapped. It can deliver us from financial burdens. It can deliver us from relationship burdens. It can deliver us from occupational burdens. Whatever has got you enslaved, Yeshua can and will restore you, deliver you, redeem you. This is why it's so terribly important that we understand what it is to have a relationship with our Elohim. So, we move on to the next two words, which are Farah Adumah. Finally, we've reached the red heifer. In these words, we're going to consider the physical manifestation of the word. The word Farah means cow or heifer, but comes from the root parar, that means, among other things, to be broken. The word Aduma means red, comes from a root Adam, that means humankind, means man. So, if we consider that concept, and we look at the red heifer, we consider a man that is to be broken, and that we bring him forth. It says, you are to bring or take the red heifer to Eliezer in the next verse, but we haven't got there yet. So we bring forth, okay? It is because of our transgressing the instruction of Yahweh Elohim that Yeshua had to come and take our place, being broken as the vehicle of sacrifice, so that the covenant that we broke could be restored. This man to be broken was to be without spot or faultless. From the word tamiyima, which actually means complete, whole, and innocent. There was to be no blemish, from the word mum, that although it does mean blemish, it alludes to a moral stain. So in the phrase asher lo ala aleya o, upon which never came a yoke, we ask, how can this represent Yeshua? If he said that we are to take his yoke upon us, because, okay, well, Yeshua had a yoke. If we look at the letter Het, we say, well, the crown Vav is yoked to us. So how can this mean Yeshua? If we consider the word for yoke, which is ol, it does mean yoke, but it comes from the root alal, which means to abuse, to mock, to defile, to act severely, to make a fool of someone. So when we read, upon which never came a yoke, and this is further supported by the word Allah, which doesn't mean that other guy, but Allah, that means upon, but it also means concerning, on account of, and in the matter of, or for the reason of. The similar root of this means to be lofty. We can formulate an idea that this type of man was like this. This man that was broken, he was not lofty or proud, and was not one to be abusive, to mock others, to defile the word of Elohim, to act severely, or to make a fool of another. He was complete, whole, innocent, without moral stain. Okay? Without yoke doesn't necessarily mean without a yoke. It means that he was a complete person. He was perfect. Perfect morally, perfect ethically, the way he treated people, that he cared about other people. So if we read Philippians 2, 1 through 15, let's take a look at what type of person Yeshua was, and maybe what kind of an example Yeshua, the person, set for us back in the day. Paul is saying, Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 through 15, 16. If therefore you have consolation in Mashiach, or if the blending of hearts in love, fellowship of the Spirit, or if compassions and sympathies, make my joy perfected by having one agreement and one love and one soul and one mind, and do nothing in strife or in vain glory, but with humbleness of mind. Let each regard his neighbor as better than himself. Think of other people as being more important than we are. Let not each be anxious only for himself, but everyone also for his neighbor. And think you so in yourselves as Yeshua Mashiach also thought, who, as he was in the likeness of Elohim, did not regard it sinful to be co-equal of Elohim, yet disinherited himself and assumed the likeness of a servant, and was in the likeness of man, and was found in the fashion as a man. And he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death of the stake. Wherefore also Elohim has highly exalted him and given him a name which is more excellent than in all names, that at the name of Yeshua every knee should bow, of beings in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Master Yahuwah is Yeshua HaMashiach, to the glory of Elohim his Father. Therefore, my beloved, as you have at all times obeyed, not only when I was near you, but now, when I am far from you, push through the work of your life more abundantly with fear and trembling. For Elohim operating in you both to purpose and also to perform that which you desire. Do all things without arguing and without conflict, that you may be perfect and without blemish, as the sincere children of Elohim, who are resident in a perverse and crooked generation, that you may appear among them as shining lights in the world, so that you may be to them in place of life. Okay? What do we see? What example did Yeshua set? We see in the red heifer that he was a man to be broken, that he was humble, that he was without stain, that his moral character was very high, that he did not see himself as proud, that he treated others with love and compassion. Paul tells us that he was so humble that he put others before him, even to the point of death. Okay? We have an example set for us by Yeshua. Now, we've talked about the red heifer, and in this we see that the red heifer alludes to Yeshua. We've seen that in accepting, it alludes to our receiving the promise. It also alludes to our keeping a command to believe and receive. The balance of the parasha, we read that the heifer was to be given to Eliezer. The word for to give in verse 3, I guess it is that although it means to give, it also means to allow or to give permission. And in the word Eliezer, we have a name that means Elohim helps. So we construct an idea that we must allow Elohim to help us. How do we allow Elohim to help us? To believe and receive Yeshua. We make teshuvah. We believe that Elohim is with us. And if Elohim is with us, who can be against us? I recognize that I can do all things through Mashiach. He strengthens me, that the anointing of Yahweh surrounds me and infills me, that gives me strength in my troubles. I have to allow this to happen. I have to give permission, because Elohim is not going to do what with my free will? He's not going to violate my free will. Okay? Eliezer is the priest, Cohen. This word Cohen, it means priest, it means minister, but also Cohen indirectly points to the priesthood of Melchizedek that is established by Yeshua. One that is not built on the blood of animals, but is built on the blood of Yeshua and the restoration of the covenant of Yahweh that allows us to keep Torah without the curse of the wage of sin, which is death. This priesthood allows us to become a friend of Yahweh Elohim, just as Abraham was a friend of Yahweh Elohim. Who came and visited Abraham? Melchizedek. What did Melchizedek bring? Wine and bread. What did Yeshua offer at that Last Supper? He offered wine and bread. What do we take in at Kaddish? Take in wine. Also, we take in bread. What are we saying? I do. I accept your friendship. I accept your help. Okay? We also read that the heifer was to be completely consumed by fire so that only the ashes remained. In this, we have to realize that Yeshua gave himself completely for our restoration, redemption, and deliverance from the curse of sin, which is death. Cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet were also burned with the red heifer. These are materials that were found in the building of and in the service of the tabernacle. So these are representations of the physical nature of Yeshua. And that we read that these were also consumed by fire. Yeshua gave his life, totally and completely consecrated himself to the Father. He was the burnt offering. Okay? Again, Yeshua gave himself totally, allowing his physical form to be destroyed for our transgression. It should have been our physical form that was the vehicle of sacrifice. But he took it upon himself, as we read in Philippians, to be the vehicle of sacrifice in our place. He became nothing, ephor, ashes, so that we, through him, might be made clean. The ashes were mixed with water to bring cleansing to those who had touched a dead body. Okay? The ashes represent the death, burial, but they also represent the spiritual nature of Yeshua that mixed with the water. The Word and the water, or the Word and the Spirit, are with us always. And it is through the Word and the Spirit, through Yeshua, that we are restored. And this water was mixed, or these ashes were mixed with the water to bring cleansing to those who had touched a dead body. They could bathe in the water, and in the evening they'd be clean. The touching of the dead body, what that represents is when we transgress, or when we sin, and when we are washed by the blood. These transgressions are washed away. We are made clean by believing that Yeshua gave himself totally for us, becoming nothing, so that we, in receiving this gift of life, might have life restored, redeemed, and delivered from death, being established and restored through him as the children of Elohim. I accept Yeshua. I come to Elohim clean. I am restored. I'm delivered by whatever it was that I needed to be delivered from. Now, we can, through Yeshua, once again enter into the camp. We enter again into the garden to be surrounded by the protection of Yahweh our Elohim, nourished by him, and in him we find our rest and are again his delight. In our relationship with Elohim through Yeshua, we enter back into Gan Eden. In our lifetime, we don't have to wait to be dead. That Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, simply means a hedge of protection and delight. That he surrounds us, protects us, provides for us, and we are his delight, because we are in covenant, and we are equal bound. Okay. Any questions on that mess? Stuff. Sorry, no messes. Dive in all at once. All right, well, I guess we've achieved grooviness then. Chester's over there making us all sweat it out.
Glory.